Hey guys, this is Tyler here.
And this is Josh. We're back in the studio. It's bright and early, sunny Florida, 150 degrees outside.
92% humidity.
We're 2 grand into this studio, so this better take off.
Well, this is officially going to be episode 1. So the last one was just a little pilot introduction for what we're about.
Tyler, you look radiant as always.
Why, thank you. It's the long hair, the headband puts it together.
Off of you.
The sweat beating off my brow.
The steel beams are melting around this studio.
So we mentioned we're getting right into it with hot button issue. So one thing that's really been heavily discussed in Florida and in the country right now has been the use of masks and the mask mandates, which is interesting considering the fact that they've been worn by medical professionals since the beginning of time. I've seen myself immunocompromised people in stores wearing them, and no one ever seemed to have an issue with them until it was a government recommendation that started to really throw a wrench into this. So we're just going to talk about wearing of masks, just some facts behind it and the science, and hopefully we could just spread the word on safety and just how to help put an end to this pandemic going forward. And
you want me to wear a muzzle?
If that's what you want to call it, but people go hunting, they wear masks and face shields and everything else, and it's never been an issue. It's gotten to be quite the divisive issue in this country.
Why is this important, though? I mean, why do I care?
Well, just from wearing one, the science says that if you wear one, it's not really to protect yourself. It is, but the issue with us being younger and maybe being asymptomatic carriers, we may be carrying the virus. Especially as nurses, we're around quite a bit of different things in the hospital. So if I'm going to the store, by me not wearing one, I could potentially expose elderly people which this population in this area in this state is one of the oldest populations in the country. We have the most to lose, I would say, in terms of population.
Yeah, just as an overview, of the topic of masks, it's become such a politically charged issue that has no business being really politically charged. Obviously we're talking in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's become either you're for masks or you're against masks, and with that carries a political connotation. We're both healthcare providers, see the podcast title, so we're wearing masks at all times, really, at work and outside of work. So we just want to delve into this topic a little bit more because this is something that really, we were talking about in our introductions. There's viewpoints that really you try and learn the other side of, but in trying to learn the other side of anti-mask movement, you see it's a lot of just people that don't really care about others in the community. And this is honestly a community issue. I understand if diabetes was, it's mainly self-driven. The choices you make, at least type 2, the choices you make dietary-wise and your lifestyle choices lead you to diabetes. But with COVID, you can only do so much to stop the spread of it. So by choosing to not wear a mask and you're basically volunteering to become a carrier, you're spreading it to your community. So.
And as well as I, we both have high-risk family members, so that definitely weighs in the back of your mind. It's been difficult. People are kind of just been doing whatever they want. Like there's no consequence. I haven't been in my parents' home in, I think, it's been four months now. So just because, you know, my parents are very at risk. Same thing with my grandparents. So I have not stepped foot in their home either. It's hard. It's been hard, but you get through this, and because if you don't, the alternative is a lot worse. And I mean, then you have to live with that guilt too. And that's the other thing. If people stop thinking about, well, you're trying to muzzle me and you're trying to force me to do this, and it will not affect me. It won't affect my kid. It won't affect my wife. I mean, think about your family member. If they got this and did not make it, how would you feel, and the amount of guilt you would carry? Like you see all the time online, oh well, the death rate is point this percent, 0.2%. Well, when we look at terms of actual life, I think we're about at 145,000 people dead just in this country alone. That's not a small number.
That's a lot of lives and routines that have been disrupted because of the COVID-related death. I mean,
and I think globally we're at 610,000 people dead, which is awful.
If you could do something as simple as wearing a mask to protect another person, I feel like it's not that much of a suggestion, you know? It's not that much of an ask to wear a mask.
And the argument that, well, it cuts your oxygen. Well, there have been studies done with a pulse oximeter on your finger, and it clearly shows that you're not losing any oxygen by wearing a mask. It does not restrict you. I take it one step further. I wear an N95 mask every day at work for 12 hours, and I feel fine. I have no CO2 poisoning or whatever they're saying we have or will get. Again, people mostly who are non-medical professionals saying that this is going to happen, when the science and all the actual medical professionals have talked about this. It's safe to wear a mask, face covering, it's not going to affect you. It will help prevent this disease and slow the spread.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people take the viewpoint that, I'm not weak, so if I get the virus, I'll be fine. Well, I mean, say that to the many cases of young people getting this virus and having actual near-death experiences or actually dying. I mean, it happens. It also does happen that a lot of these people are turning out fine, and that's just the case. I mean, that's the case with anything. But you still have to take into consideration that while you may get it and you may be fine, you go somewhere, spread it to someone else, and they die from it, you have to consider that. And I feel like that's, for whatever reason, become politically charged. It's like, well, who mandates that I have to wear a mask? This is the land of the free. I can do whatever I'd like.
Well, and then of the mindset that, well, yes, you're free, but you're not free to biologically harm other individuals.
Yeah. It's like the land of the free, but I can't go murder someone.
Exactly.
And that's wrong.
Yes, I agree. And it seems like for some areas, I mean, New York now, I mean, obviously it's easier for them to adopt this position of wearing a mask because they went through it. They were losing thousands of people a day, dying, like just horrible. And I think that they've been through it. They don't want to go back to that. So they think, let's wear the mask, is what science says. And you see, I mean, honestly now, New York City is probably one of the safest places to be, especially as opposed to here, where, I mean, let's face it, leadership has been lacking here, and everybody's kind of been fending for themselves. And even down to local governments, it's been a slow response.
Yeah, it's been insane, if you think about it. Just the sluggish response that you've been saying. And I mean, you were saying you had an article, you were looking at an article about the effectiveness of actually wearing your mask. Do you have that? You want to go over that?
This is from TC Palm. I mean, locally, Indiantown, which is a village outside of Martin County, they were getting hit extremely hard. And on April 28th, according to TC Palm, they passed the mask mandate for that whole village, and the numbers dropped tremendously. And in that time, cases in St. Lucie County, Martin County, and West Palm, the cases increased by 13 times, hospitalizations quadrupled, and 44 more people, yes, small percentage, but 44 more people were dead because of a lack in response to this, when again the science shows this is this is what can help. And as of late, and even our local officials were talking about it, Martin County was deciding whether to pass the mandate, and they were another county that was getting hit very hard. Well, since they've passed the mask mandate, their cases have about stabilized. They've not had any percentage increase in cases over the last week. Well, correlation, they started to wear a mask. Every business, every person in public had to wear masks. And even the CEO of the Cleveland Clinic was telling the commissioners, what you did will save lives. So, and again, these are medical professionals, not hacks or partisan figures or, anyone working for the deep state. These are actual medical professionals who dedicate their lives to helping people stay healthy and live a quality life. I know the anti-mask movement has been really picking up steam. I know you had seen some stuff online.
Yeah, which we can get into. I mean, there's a whole branch on Reddit of mask skepticism and the debate behind it. I mean, we'll dive into that topic. But what do you say it's to those who say it's instilling fear, or it's just a matter of control? I mean, a lot of people are saying that this is just, these mask mandates are meant to make people scared. It's meant to make people behave. What's your response to that?
I think people should be scared, honestly. I mean, if we saw, if we go way back a few months, you see what happened in Italy and Spain and in Europe, and then it came over to here, New York. I think people should be afraid. This isn't the flu. We have no vaccine, no way to prevent or minimize symptoms of this until there is a vaccine or a reputable treatment for this. People should be scared, and people aren't trying to impose this mandate and muzzle people. And it seems, which I can never wrap my head around, why this country has such an issue with things like that. You see in all the other countries, Germany went from getting hit hard. They're having about 200 cases a day. We are still picking up. We're having 70,000 cases a day. It's so easy for them to just kind of understand the science and do what they need to do, as opposed to us. There's always friction. There's always an issue with doing what needs to be done. It's hard for me to understand why you can have science right in front of you and it be fact, but there's always pushback.
I think a lot of it comes from the perspective of, oh, well, I know more than you. I know something you don't. So when you are skeptical of masks and you're like, well, I'm not going to wear one because it's just, you're giving in to the fear, the hysteria. It's that perspective that I think it's not only relates to masks, but many other different topics. But if we look at it, I mean, if people are actively dying, other people are always like, well, people die from the flu every year, and you don't see this happening. This is a lot more effective. I mean, it spreads a lot more rampantly. And we don't know much about this as we do with the flu. It's honestly insanity to me.
Well, right. Yeah. Right now, I mean, the World Health Organization recommends that states and countries that want to open need to be under 5% positivity rate, which, is still, obviously, we want no cases. And right now, if we take the 5%, New York is sitting at 1.2. So they are meeting criteria to slowly open back up. Right now, as we record this, Florida's positivity rate is 18.1%, and we're only second behind Arizona at 22.4%. which, again, I think it's interesting as well that a couple months ago they were talking about how, oh, well, wait till the heat and the humidity comes through, and and two of the hottest,
sunny Florida.
Sunny Florida, humid Florida. Yeah, Arizona's not
10,000
humid.
cases today.
Yeah, Arizona's not humid, but I mean it's 115 degrees there almost every day. So clearly that is not the case, and it's kind of frightening when you think about we're about to be in August. Schools are getting ready to open back up in theory. We still don't have a handle. In fact, things are getting worse in many parts of the country. And fall is 3 months away. 3 months away. I never know. Being in Florida, I never know when the seasons change. So, but with that said, fall is right around the corner. And when you mix flu season with that, the weather, COVID, things might get worse before they get better. And that's again not the fear trying to instill in people.
I think another part of this from the other side, the mass skepticism, is the fear of the new normal. Now, obviously, I don't want to be stuck at home for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in the middle of it now. I don't know how long this is going to run out. I'm aware of that. But I think a lot of the skepticism coming from the other side as well. If mainstream media is pushing masks, you're seeing it in commercials, you're seeing social distancing commercials.
Even companies, Publix, things like that, Whole Foods, you have to wear a mask in there now. I mean, at least they're taking leadership on it.
Correct. But I think these people are viewing this as well. This is now what I'm going to be dealing with. My kids aren't going to be able to grow up normally. I'm not going to be able to take the vacations I want to because these companies and media and government are pushing, I mean, not all the government, but certain select people are pushing these masks. And it's taking away my freedom. So the pushback is to ignore wearing a mask. I mean, yes, it's okay to be scared, and it's okay to, we don't know. We don't know when this is going to be over. It's the same thing with the lockdowns. I mean, people are scared about going into lockdown. They're scared that, we don't have a time frame. But this is a new thing. We have strange governmental decisions being done from the top down that are still dragging this on longer than it needs to be. You just have to kind of take a deep breath, focus, refocus. To those who are scared of the long-term effects of this, I mean...
I said from the beginning in March, I said if everyone just buckled down, stayed at home 2 weeks, wore a mask, went out for the essentials, we probably would have been done with this by now. And that's the God's honest truth. I mean, obviously, we can't go back, but to tell me if everyone just did what they should have done and there was no pushback, we probably would, and if we're not completely past this, we would have been a lot better and we would have been back to some sense of normalcy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think a lot of people compare this to say 9/11, because obviously after an incident like that, it was
life has changed. Yeah,
it was a very different world. Valid concern, but at the same time, that does not mean you pull so far away from what is being recommended because you think that's going to change the outcome. Because your protests, it doesn't do us any benefit.
Yeah, and I think you're just, again, I feel at times people just like to go against the grain. So it's like, this is what they're telling me to do, but you know what? I just want to be obstinate. I think there's like a temper tantrum throwing effect. You see that on Facebook and on responses to the news, and I mean, you read some of these comments, they're awful. Just, you see people, they're only saying that 0.2% of kids that go back to school could die. Okay, when you break all the numbers down, that's 25,000 kids.
Imagine if that's that need to die.
Yeah, imagine that's your son or your daughter, your family's upended. I mean, recover from that. That's again, we speak too much in these deaths and cases as numbers, but there's a human behind each number, and for as advanced as we are in this country and the resources we have, the fact that 145,000 people are dead is crazy to me.
As we were speaking earlier about Reddit, I was looking over these mass skepticism posts. It's a board for discussion, and I found this one that I think was somewhat interesting. Basically, this person states they've been asking themselves why they don't wear a mask. I'll read the post. And the short of it is, nothing could be further from truth. Social media tried to tell me I couldn't wear a mask because I didn't wear a mask because I'm selfish and stupid and want everyone around me to die. No, that's not it either. The other day I finally realized why I don't wear a mask. It's because I do not now or have I ever feared the virus. Yet others people's fear of the virus confined me to 6 weeks of involuntary house arrest. Others people's fear of the virus crushed the economy, destroying my husband's job and making it impossible for him to find a new one. Others people's fear told me where I could and couldn't go, where I could and couldn't go there. How many people I could interact with and what distance and in what context. Others people's fear said it was okay to trample on people's constitutional right to assemble unless the reason for assembly is deemed as socially acceptable by those same people. So they state that they don't wear a mask because they don't want to indulge others people's fear. There's a lot to break down in there. I mean,
there is. That's just bluntly a mouthful of nonsense.
If we look at one thing, I do not fear the virus. Okay, so by choosing to just ignore it if we just accept that, okay, you have no fear about it. If you get it, hope you're okay. As we've seen, there's been a lot of variance in that regard, but okay, you don't fear it. We can look at Florida. Let's ignore the virus. Let's trust other people to socially distance. Let's trust other people to wear masks. You don't want to wear one, so let's hope those other people wear one to at least somewhat reduce the chances of spread. Just look at our numbers now by choosing to ignore the virus, by choosing to not be afraid of it. I mean, look at the economy. The economy, yes, a lot of people's jobs were lost.
It's awful. That's
unfortunate.
And that's not a virus issue. That's, I mean, if you're, that again that's a completely other topic. But if your governmental safety net is this horrible to where you're fending for your life,
you're living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, you need to fix the system, and that doesn't mean you run around because again, to that point, okay, don't wear a mask. Guess what? The economy is going to take even longer to recover when we're still, we're back in lockdown again.
To me, this feels like a rebellious teenager. It feels like, because life has many injustices, and having to lose your job and having to be stuck at home sucks. But it's almost like having to eat your vegetables on your plate. This is something that we have to go through as a nation, as a state, as a freaking county. We have to go through this so we get past this.
I mean, how do you view these mandates? I mean, you don't think anyone's infringing on you, or you don't feel that the government is forcing? Cause in my personal opinion, I especially now, I don't think people think the government cares more about them than they really do. I'm not of that mindset. I don't think they want to control us the way people say they are.
I'm literally just being asked to wear a piece of fabric, cloth, whatever, on my face. I do not feel like I'm being infringed upon by any means. And if I don't want to do that, then I don't have to go to those places.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is you see them get mad at us because they don't want to wear a mask and they feel like we're forcing them. But why then, if I want to wear one, why am I getting ridiculed? And why are they saying I'm a sheep and I'm indoctrinated and things like that? They want to be left alone, yet they have no problem bothering everybody else who has a differing opinion than them. And again, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but we're not talking about opinions right now. We're talking about, these are facts. These are CDC, World Health Organization, serious organizations that have nothing but public health embedded in them, telling us that these are the guidelines. And it's not like the CDC is saying you must wear this or this will happen. That's not their role. The role is facts, research, and the science behind everything. We know, maybe more so than people who are not in the medical field, science and healthcare completely changing. Yes, we had different recommendations in February than we had in March, and then
hydroxychloroquine.
And then May, and then it was face coverings don't help, but then studies were done and science was done, and then they do help, and that's been the solidified science, and hydroxychloroquine didn't help. Science is ever changing, as is healthcare, and healthcare is science, but sometimes these people blast these organizations as being political deep state operatives, and again, same common ground. Everybody wants this to be done. If we all have that common end goal, why the pushback? I think the CDC director said if we do what we need to do for I think it was 4 to 6 weeks, he said something like that, we would be done. We would be done. If everyone wore a mask, social distance, went out for the essentials, we didn't spread the virus, we'd be done. That's it. And it's 6 weeks tops. Done. We can go travel again. We can go to vacation. Trust me, I want to go on vacation as much as the next person. I want to see my parents as much as the next person. I want to see my grandparents as much as the next person. But by not complying with what's going on or the recommendations, we're literally just setting ourselves back even further and further and further. And it's going to be rough.
I think a lot of this stems from this American individualism. This want to, to only concern yourself with yourself and advance yourself or your family or whatever unit you want to think of. And also, like, if we look at these Asian cultures, politeness, of course this is widespread generalizations, but just look at how normal it is to wear a mask in, say, Japan or South Korea as opposed to here. It is telling how we've had so much vitriol and just so much discourse over masks here.
They said in Japan they wear a mask for if they feel ill in any way. It's a sign of respect.
Yeah.
We don't...
Something... Yeah.
It's hard to find someone just to hold the door open for you here. They'll slam it right in your face. I don't know if that has to be we're such a young country and these other places have been around for, centuries.
I think it's whatever's embedded in your country's
culture,
DNA, your country culture in a sense.
No, I get you on that.
Of course, these are all generalizations, but when you look at what we're dealing with here, you can see it is somewhat of a widespread issue. So, we can ramble on all day about conspiracy theories alongside these masks too. 5G, freaking
maybe we'll do one on that stuff, like 5G or something. I don't know.
Masks have 5G sensors in them, or
no? That was the mask, the wire wire nose piece had a 5G tracker that the government put embed I don't even know, it embeds 5G, and then they said the coronavirus vaccine that comes out is gonna put a sensor in you to track your movements. And again, I don't think the government if the government cares about what I'm doing, exactly. All these people with conspiracy theories, they have a cell phone in their pocket.
They probably have a Facebook, which there goes your data. These people, they say, oh, the government's going to track you with your masks or whatever, but they indulge in the other things that they are actually tracking you on. If we want to be completely clear and honest, they are actually tracking you on.
Yeah. You got a webcam. They can even look at you through your TV.
I know. They can see your luscious hair.
Like I said, if the government's if they really feel they need to watch me, then more power to them. I feel honored, but
to me, I'm not as cavalier. I do like my data. I want to know where my data is going, but I'm also cognizant that I I don't really have as much control over that unless I completely lock down certain aspects of modern life.
I feel strongly about the data aspect, but I also don't think that's a government issue. I mean, okay, it has a government aspect to it, but Facebook, perfect example, that's a private organization, and they have free reign to do whatever they want. I mean, think of all the money Zuckerberg's made off of us, not just us, like, you know, as a population, getting people's data. He's made a career off of it. He's not a governmental guy, so
we can go on a tangent on this as well.
Yeah, that'll be another episode. But before we go, I just want to let you guys know there's a local startup business. You know, we talked about masks, so we thought we'd kind of promote a little.
Gosh, we got sponsors already. This building's freaking doing us wonders.
Well, we need about 500 more sponsors before we can pay the bill.
We're gonna be doing this on the street.
So on Facebook, you can find them, facebook.com/The Mask Mama, and Mama is spelled MOMMA. I have a few from them. I know Josh has a few from them.
They are amazing.
His glasses do not fog up. You know, you can get them with the wire, without. Honestly,
without the 5G wire.
Yeah, without the 5G wire. You know, they're people friendly. They're doing no contact pickups as well, and payment. So if you have Venmo, PayPal, or you could just leave cash. They're located in the Treasure Coast, and they're 3D masks, so they fit like a N95. They're not, you know, on your face like those regular cloth ones are. So speaking is not an issue, and comfort, that's the main thing. No sweat, no mouthful of cotton. They fit great. The ear straps too, you can tighten, loosen. They're really great. I think one goes for like $9 or something like that. They do offer healthcare discounts. There's over 100 different patterns of fabric you can choose from. They're made to order, and from what I hear, they've been busy.
I wear mine at the store. It's phenomenal. You know, definitely not.
You have that nice Batman one.
Yeah.
That was nice. Yeah. So they have generally anything you want. Reach out to them on Facebook. They'll be more than happy. Very quick service, quick turnaround time. So check them out. And I think that's about it for us today with our official episode 1.
Thank you for joining us.
So we'll try to pump out episode 2 for you guys soon. And stay safe. Mask up, please. You don't have to, but it's recommendation. So, although I think it's mandated now, so you kind of have to. So, wear your mask. Keep people safe. It's not just about you, it's about everyone. Protect the community. The country is a community. Think about it that way. One big family, all right? So, stay safe, everyone, and we'll talk with you soon.
We'll see you next time.